What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fountain City Hockey Podcast, a podcast for the fans by a fan. I'm your host, Christian, and today we have an amazing guest, the man that brought hockey back to Columbus. Tune in with me as we take a look behind the scenes of the Riverdragons, what we have to look forward to, and a little bit of the life of Jeff Croop. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, and if you do enjoy it, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and also hit that bell for notifications of when I post my next video. I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Jeff. First off, I want to say thank you, and it is an honor to be able to have you on the podcast today.
Well, thanks, Christian. The honor is mine. It's always good to get coverage for my favorite sports team.
Absolutely. So I like to start off every interview with an open-ended question. So who is Jeff Croop?
I'd like to leave that one for other people to answer, but I am a hockey owner and a business owner and focusing on the win side of the ledger, I guess.
I got you. Now, what got you into wanting to own a hockey franchise, own a sports business in general? Because not only do you own hockey, but you also own the Chattahoochee team. You own the Chattahoochee Monsters?
Yeah, they're the Chakalaka Monsters.
The Chakalaka Monsters. So what got you into wanting to own a sports franchise, sports team, sports business?
It wasn't a want thing more than a it just happened thing. As you know, my son was playing in the league and still plays in the league. And he was playing in Carolina, and I got to be friends with Scott Brand and went to all the games down there because it's close to my main base in Glen Allen, Virginia. And just over discussions and things were going well with my main business. So it's like, hey, why don't we branch out and do this thing in Columbus?
Okay. And now with the folding of the Cottonmouth,
Okay.
what made you interested in the market in Columbus in general?
Oh, well, as you see now, as the league is growing, but if you think of the league back then, it was kind of the stepping stone to the southeast and the deep south. How could you not be interested in that market? It's a great building, and the Fed offers a good operating strategy as it relates to being able to stay in business. But it was basically the building, the city, the opportunity. I think just everything just kind of came together. We got lucky.
Okay. Because I know before y'all came in, I believe there was one other partner that was trying to come in to get within the building, but the city wasn't too fond of them. What do you think differed from you bringing the team versus that other organization that was trying to come in?
I can't speak to that, but I know Scott did a really good job. He went down there and visited the building and was honest with people, and we're just able to show that we had the wherewithal if it didn't do well, and to make sure we didn't embarrass anybody. But I can't speak to why the other people weren't chosen.
Okay. Now we're going on 6 years.
Yeah.
This will be the sixth amazing year of hockey back in Columbus. Has the results kind of superseded your expectations as to
The results,
as far as fans go?
yeah, as far as fans go, meets or exceeds our expectation. You got to remember we've only had a couple normal years out of those six. So it's blowing expectations out of the water coming off of what we saw. The COVID year, it didn't seem like it seemed like the interest was okay. It was going to do okay, but now it's doing really, really well, and we're excited about the year-over-year growth.
Now, whenever I first really started getting into hockey and learning the game was 2012, 2013, kind of more on the downfall side of the Cottonmouths when they were coming in. I remember there only being an average of like 1,500 fans being in the building. And on an SPHL standpoint, you really can't survive on that.
No, you can almost not. We have built it up to be probably a break-even SPHL financial operation. A lot of things have to go right if that market were in the SPHL.
Correct. But when you brought the FPHL in, the average attendance in Columbus when I was actually able to go to games, because I live in Atlanta now, and I always watch on YouTube, so I attend as many as I can. But on average, there's 28 to 3,000 each game almost.
Now, yeah, not originally. It was in the twos. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, I don't mean to be saying that disparagingly. It's still a good base.
Mm-hmm.
Even 1,500, you could make money in the Fed in Columbus because we have such great corporate support. But you know, the building is pretty large to be putting 1,500 a night in.
Yeah, I know. I think Columbus is rated for close to 10,000, I believe.
Oh, for
If I'm not,
hockey?
not for hockey. For hockey, what is it? Is it
100.
73? But I know it's a big building for the Fed to play in, because I know at first I was talking to Flip, and Columbus wasn't even built for hockey at first, the Civic Center itself, and hockey kind of just came around to it. So it is, like you said, it's a big arena to have that type of sports organization inside of, to try to fill and maintain a good league. But it seems like the Riverdragons and what you do and what your team does behind the scenes, it makes it work.
Surround yourself with good people, good things happen.
Now, going into the start of the Riverdragons, I know a pretty proud dad moment. Jay gets the first goal in Columbus River Dragons history.
You couldn't script that and the game, our first home win too.
So the first home win was overtime, then shootout. Jay gets the shootout win, falls into the penalty box. It was kind of all I know. It's a proud dad moment for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, I was happy for him, but it also helped cement him as a marketable piece to the community. And he's just a great people person. Between him and Jerome, I mean, you couldn't ask for better as far as getting out in the community and doing the things that need to be done to, nudge it along.
Now, how exciting was it? You were able to bring your other son Jared into play. I believe it was for military night.
Yeah, that was, it's funny, Christian. You've been through a lot of things in your life, and you really kind of don't appreciate them in the moment because it's just what you do, and it's good and bad. We've had so many things, and have had a busy life relative to things like that. So you look back at it, and it's like, wow, it was pretty cool. It would have been even better if he'd have been able to convert on that pass Josh gave him and score a goal. Though we probably would never hear the end of it. But yeah, it was pretty special. And again, it was special to them, which made it special to me. Right.
But it's also moments that you don't get all the time. I know I was reading it was like 12 years since they had been on the ice together or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And so it was, I mean, it's those keepsake moments that you have, and that not only Jay and Jared have now too, to be able to actually play professionally together.
Yeah, and Jared just had a baby the other day. So
Oh, congratulations. And I know Jay just had one almost a year ago now.
Yep.
So I know that's pretty exciting for you.
March is on, brother.
Absolutely. I have 4 children myself, so I understand that.
It goes quick.
What can we look for right now in the future of the Riverdragons? Do we have anything new coming up for this upcoming season?
Well, I know it's tough with the roster, and we're pretty by design closed mouth bunch. I see where people are clamoring to see our protected list, and it's like, you're never going to understand why we protected certain people and why we didn't protect others, and so people need to understand that you have to carry 6 rookies, so there's going to be 6 new faces. When you don't win a championship, you have to get better. It's just that's what even if you win a championship, you have to get better. You have to continually get better. And as we move pieces around, there's always somebody that loves that player, and they're never going to buy their season tickets again. And the end of the world has come, and it's just you don't understand the basics of it. And I guess we could take more time to explain that, but then when we don't explain something because it's due to an off-ice situation that you don't want to bury a player for. But as far as like where we're heading, you never know what's going to be available out there. We don't know what this draft is going to do to us. people have to understand we're going to lose players when you have 134 points. Your players are going to be sought after. Us and Binghamton and Carolina, just to name three, not to leave anyone out, but there's not a player on any of our rosters that won't help another team.
Absolutely, it's a business. I mean, it's professional hockey.
Yeah, I'd really like for us to get back to being bullies on the ice again. But if those players aren't out there, then we'll have to wait and see what you bring together, and then work from there. And it just didn't seem we could find that right player that we really needed to have that more physical presence. You were team tough, but you still like to have those one or two guys that people are concerned about.
Now, speaking on that, with the game changing the way that it is over the past 10 years, with the enforcers being on the ice, or the like you said, the bullying teams and stuff like that, how do you feel that that's changed the way that recruiting has gone and the way that building a team has come together?
Well, you have to be able to play. And are you referring to our level?
Just our level and in general.
Yeah, I feel in the NHL level, it's coming back. I feel there were several years there. If you're talking the NHL level, you see plays. I always talk about Ovechkin. I mean, if Ovechkin played in the '80s, somebody would have killed him. Period. Yeah. You see guys pick their spots now and do things that just wouldn't happen. That's changing. It's coming back around, right? A lot of physical play in the playoffs, which is not sustainable over 80 games, but most teams have a guy now.
Yeah, because I know the new guy, which, I mean, you still have your Ryan Reeves in the NHL, who's old school, got grandfathered into the no face mask clause, stuff like that. But then you got the new kid that just came onto the Rangers, Rimpey, I believe is his last name. And that's like the first new kid that came up. Not only can he play, but he's got that big physical asset, and he doesn't mind dropping the gloves at any point in time with anybody.
No, he's going to be someone to be reckoned with. And again, everyone's like, well, that's what the Rangers were missing. And they were still somewhat soft, right? Like, Florida kind of, the more Rempe hit, the more Florida hit. So I do believe the cycle's trending back towards the physicality and I don't want to say the fighting, but I know there's a lot of fans that do enjoy the honest, non-planned, organic hockey fight. But when things happen, we had some really weak teams in our division last year, and they were fully loaded with donkeys. If you're not going to win hockey games, you might as well entertain your fans.
Yeah,
and it was hard on our guys. I saw Cody Wickline get cross-checked, and then somebody went, Sturgeon goes to defend him, and because he's closest to it, and he gets cross-checked in the face, and the guy gets 4 games. I mean, at some point you got to protect either we got to handle it or the league's got to.
Absolutely.
But as long as you're going to have teams that want to bring donkeys in, you got to keep one around.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that. I mean, the game's changed to where you don't have a full line full of big guys or a full, 5 or 6 people. But at the same time, like you said, there still needs to be those 1 or 2 guys that at any point in time can step on the ice and provide that the big appearance. We had a couple of guys. You had Swan.
Yeah, we weren't devoid of toughness. We just didn't have, Swanee become a player.
Absolutely.
Like, he played really well in the playoffs. Like, he went from being scratched to being on a line and playing really well. But again, that's one guy, right? Like, that's just not how we were constructed.
Yeah.
We were overly skilled.
Yeah, absolutely. And
in my opinion,
overly skilled, but at the same time, we put one, and like you said, we got beat up a lot, but at the same time, this was one of, if not the best season of Columbus hockey that we've ever seen. Yes, it didn't turn out the way we wanted it because we didn't bring a championship home, but at the same time, it's still one of the best seasons Columbus hockey's ever seen. It's the best winning percentage hockey has ever seen. You had multiple guys get all-star recognition. Multiple guys win J-Mac and
Colgan.
Colton. So on our side of things, with the level of the Fed that the Fed is, you have these teams that, again, don't have a lot of skill, have these donkeys, and they were at the bottom of the pack. Then you got our team, which we have a bunch of tough guys that will go out and fight for each other, that won the league in points, didn't bring home a championship. I know, like you said, with the new roster changes, we have to have 6 rookies.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that the team going into next year needs to bring, or what are y'all looking at as far as bringing rookies in?
So to answer that, we'd have to assume everyone else's rosters were going to be static. And if that's the case, I wouldn't have changed a thing. It wasn't our time with regards to not getting the job done this year. It was just, it's one of those things you look back and you can't put your finger on it. Like, guys showed up, the guys played hard, good goaltending. I mean, I know their goalie stood on his head, but it's nothing you could say, geez, if we did this or we did that, we could have won. It just didn't happen. As far as like knowing everyone else is going to have change and we're going to have change, you know what, Christian, you don't know. What you don't know is what's out there. It's almost like you got to go and get what's out there and then decide what you need. Sequoia Swan, Jerome brought him in, did a great job of recruiting him. It was a referral from a friend of his out west because we're like, hey, we got to get tougher. And, do we get another Sequoia Swan? Does that happen? Do we get that lucky? Hugh Anderson, who's a really good defenseman, young kid coming back. He fell in our lap through someone I knew 30 years ago. So, hey, my buddy's kid is graduating school. Why don't you bring him in? So you just don't know what's going to fall in your lap. You take that, you throw it in the mixing bowl, and you ask Jerome, okay, what do we need? We definitely, probably going to need a goaltender because we're probably going to lose one in the draft. Like to see us get tougher. Not that we weren't tough. I want to be clear about it. We were team tough. But I would like to see us get a little bit tougher, put a little more fear into teams.
Maybe bring a couple of
good, tough, solid, tough players are hard to come by at our level. There's usually something missing, right? Like, he doesn't play great defense, or gotta get really lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, like you said, with stuff falling in the lap, does the SPHL camp run before the Fed camp? To where the guys, say some guys that get cut from the SP can come down to the FP?
Our camps start a little later, not late enough, not as late as I'd like to see our camp start. I see no need to play hockey in the South in October, but it is what it is. And I think the other problem is the gap between the coast and the SP. Their camps is not wide enough. So you don't know what you're getting out of the SP because they don't know what they're getting out of the coast. And they don't know who's going to get hurt. And you don't know who's going to get cut. So there is a gap there, but it's not big enough.
Absolutely.
The team you see opening night on the road, I think we start the first 3 weeks on the road. Well, I know we do because we don't have ice in our building. By the time we get to home opener, it'll be a different team.
And I think we've seen that over the past few years of you'll have some guys go out and it's more of a tryout contracts.
It's just play rules, but whatever.
Yeah.
You point, we play.
Exactly. We put a team out on the ice that's going to compete. And
8 of those on the board where other teams were trading to get more. I mean, it's just we're not a fan of change. Just don't know what you're bringing into your locker room.
And then, I mean, you never know if you bring something into your locker room, how that's going to gel with the team. And speaking about that, how much would you say team chemistry affects what people see out on the ice from an all-around standpoint of in the locker room?
Really affected us 2 years ago in a major way, I felt. But guys sometimes spend too much time worrying about what someone else is doing instead of worrying about themselves. Our room this year, probably the best room I've ever seen. And some of the things we were missing, I'm like, geez, don't you wish we would have had this guy? It's like, oh, yeah, let's bring him in, and it's like, oh, now let's bring him in, right? So, team chemistry is important, but not, I don't feel it's imperative. If you don't have too many guys, and listen, just because a guy is perceived as disruptive in the room doesn't mean he is disruptive. It just means maybe he's not a fit for us, right?
Correct. That's how you got to have people to gel together,
Right.
because it's not a I game; it's a team game. Well, I guess you could say Justin McDonald put the I in the team, but he still
he actually really doesn't.
I know.
He's a good dude.
Well, no, I was just saying with what he did this season, as far as he went what 30, was it 39?
All the scoring, yeah, something like that.
It was like 39, 40 games in a row with a point, FPHL lead leaguer.
And that was us. Not, we're winning games in the third. He wasn't getting as much ice time. It was, and he played in Watertown the year we lost to Watertown. Like, I was like, yeah, it's good, but whatever. There's other good players in the league too, but just to watch him on a game-to-game basis is, just the little intricacies and the foresight, and he gets a lot of puck luck because of it too. I mean, he's a good hockey player.
You can tell he has a sense for the puck and a sense for where his teammates are. Because when I said the I in team, that's what I meant was just by his points run. But at the same time, most of his games, he had maybe one goal, but he had 2 or 3 assists to go along with that.
Well, and you also got to remember that, he's taking 2 guys with him, wherever he goes. So it makes it a little bit harder.
So how much do you think he had an effect on the younger players that were playing with him as far as being like a role model?
Ryan Hunter, who I believe, he's a coast level player once he fills out and fixes a few things. I mean, he was instrumental in making that. I think he was rookie of the year, wasn't he?
Yeah, Ryan Hunter was rookie of the year.
Does he get those points playing with, Dozer and Petro? Maybe. But, he didn't, so we won't know. But, yeah, he was really instrumental with him. And then Kyle Moore's, Kyle Moore's going to be Kyle Moore. So
yeah.
I don't know how much effect he had on Mooresy other than, Mooresy had a certain role on that line, and that line really clicked.
Yeah, because it looked like J-Mac was more of your get the puck to the right person or keep it.
Yeah. Well, and you look at Jamath had, 40-some-odd goals with him in Watertown, and then they were together early, and then Jerome looking for a little balance or looking for a little thing different from that line, put Alex on another line, and, that could have went one or two ways, right? It could have been Jammer, could have been Poughton. That was the one challenge with guys, I think guys at our level are more worried about who they aren't playing with than who they are playing with. Oh, geez, well, I could do that too if I was playing with him. But Jammer went out and had a great season and, become, maybe he's the next, J-Mac or Petro Antonio, right? Like, had a really good season carrying his line, helping to carry his line.
And that's what it looked like. It looked like on all the lines, it looked like the lines, in my opinion, gelled together, as in you might have had one guy that was like the guy, but then the other 2 forwards or even the defensemen that got paired with the lines, it was like everybody gelled and knew where everybody was at when they needed to be. When everybody was on point, it was like poetry on the ice.
Yeah,
with each line.
Jerome did a good job. Guys worked hard in practice, and that's the result.
And that's what I believe. That's what Columbus likes to see. I know that's what I like to see. Well, we're going on 6 years. What's your expectations for this season?
Win a championship. That's my expectation every season. We're not here to rebuild, reload. We're not here to do anything but win hockey games.
Are they? Because did we add more games this year or this past year?
No, 50. What is it? 56, 28, and 28.
And now are we with that new team coming? I believe it's in Louisiana. Is the travel going to be better, or are we still going to have to play more up north?
I don't know what they're doing with the schedule. I've seen a couple of mock schedules, but there's some things underfoot that I can't speak to or won't speak to that are just I find ridiculous. But that's life in the Fed. As far as travel goes, does it really matter if we're going to Carolina or Binghamton and we have our own bus? It's more fuel and it's wear and tear on Jack who has to drive. But we have a sleeper bus. Guys can rest. We'll be
That's
fine.
part of minor hockey.
Point we'll play.
That's like, I know I seen on the page, on the Riverdragons fan page, somebody talking about, oh, well, that's just more money and sustainable and all that. Like, what do you mean it's more money with travel when we already go play, like you said, Binghamton, which is northern New York, right?
No, southern New York.
Southern New York? Or
More northern Pennsylvania. It's just across the border.
what about Watertown?
Watertown's far.
Yeah.
Watertown and Danbury are like 8 miles different from us. Like they're both takes a day.
Yeah.
When we played Danbury in the semifinals or whatever round it was a couple of years ago, we played Friday there, and then Sunday in our building. And the guys got in at like 5 p.m. on Saturday. So there was absolutely no way we could have played them on Saturday if we wanted to. I don't think we had ice. Oh, yeah, we had ice. It's just we couldn't schedule a game. And then we played Watertown right after it, right? In the finals. So, hey, don't join a league that has those gaps, I guess.
Yeah.
Our guys are used to it. They just get on the bus and go.
Like you said, you point, we play.
Yes.
And we're going to put a team out there that's competitive and ready to win hockey games.
Yeah, having a team in Athens is going to help. But as you know, living in Atlanta, guys are like, oh, yeah, you guys leave day of the game. Yeah, probably 9 a.m, so we make sure we get there. Really, if you think about it, if we want to get there at 4:30 without risk, we're going to have to leave probably right after practice.
Yeah. So a team's, because I haven't really been keeping up on where all the teams are at. So we're bringing a team to Athens and a team to Louisiana.
Athens and Monroe are in, and Elmira moved to Newburgh, New York. They're called the Hudson Valley Venom or something like that.
And now are they just taking their same players that they already have up under basically a contract with them?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll give you one scoop. When we traded Stephen Klink last year, we didn't want to let him go, but with our 19-man roster, there's only room for 19 men. So when we traded him to Elmira, it was more of I'm not allowed to loan players, but I'm like, hey, you can have them, but we get them back after you guys protect them. We get them back. So we'll be getting reacquainted with Stephen Klink after they have the draft.
That'll be fun.
He's a good player.
Yeah. So with the draft, so we have 2 teams needing to draft. So there's going to be a big shakeup within the league, is what I'm hearing.
It's just 2 teams. It's 2 new teams plus all the teams that missed the playoffs are getting 2 picks. We're going to lose players.
Absolutely.
Period. There's a couple that are retiring, but we're going to lose players. Count on it. And it's not going to be someone like, we won't miss him. We're going to lose good players.
But that opens the door for. I mean, we have a scouting team for a reason.
Yeah, we do. Our guys work extremely hard at that, especially Jay, Jerome, Brandon, Billy, who's up in Ontario. Guy's never wrong. Gives us a name, and the guy has yet to be wrong. My brother-in-law, Kevin St. Jack, he covers the juniors for us.
And he just got promoted to head coach position.
Yeah, well, he had one, and they made a change, and now he's with a different team. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to talk about personally?
Season tickets are on sale.
And speaking of season tickets, your 2024-2025 ticket pricing is on the screen. If you have any more questions, please contact the Riverdragons office at 706-507-4625 or sending an email to tickets@rdragons.com.
Everybody loves it. It's a big, love fest. We love the city. The city loves us. The players love playing there. Like, that's just a really, really cool niche place for a pro hockey team, and just we're blessed to be able to call it home.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, one more time, I want to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and the honor to talk to you. And I hope for another very successful 24-25 season. We've had 5 great years. Let's make number 6 even better and more to go.
Well, thank you, Christian, and the honor's mine. Like I said, I appreciate it. But there's a lot of podcasts out there, and I think everybody you see that's involved in them, it's a good passion, and it's not always the positive that comes out of them, but you know what? All coverage is good coverage, and we appreciate everything all people like yourself do for the sport.